Hello, everybody. My name is Caden, and I am your news anchor for today. Currently, in Europe, the Allied forces are now pushing the German forces back, and Germany is on their final push to secure the Western Front and dissolve the Allies. Now, we will hear from our military expert, Colonel Stanley.
Yeah, so Hitler and the German army have been in retreat since D-Day. Hitler is surrounded on all three sides by the Allies in the south on the Italian peninsula, the Western Front, and by the Russians on the Eastern Front. It seems Hitler's plan with the Ardennes offensive is to drive a wedge in the Western Front to try and recapture Antwerp, which is the port in Belgium where the Allies have been receiving supplies. He also hopes to be able to dissolve the Allies with this offensive in order to free up troops to put on the Eastern Front to push back the Russians.
Thank you, Colonel Stanley. Now we go to a live report from the 4th Armored Division assisting the battle, with our reporter, Cooper Smith.
Currently, I am here with the General of the 4th Armored Division, General George Patton. We are currently under gunfire from the Axis troops. However, we are pushing in and making a divot in the wedge created by Hitler and the Axis. The General has quoted that this is his biggest battle fought as a general of the United States of America. The General has also told me that the current objective is to push through to Bastogne and relieve the 101st Airborne who are currently surrounded by the Axis powers.
Thank you, Cooper. This counteroffensive strategy could potentially cause the Axis to retreat, and we can regain lost territory and continue our push to Germany. This push could upset the tide of the war and could possibly lead the Allied powers to a great victory. The 101st Airborne, or some may call them the Screaming Eagles, will be relieved at a moment's notice. Back to our colonel with more to add on this topic.
Thank you. The counteroffensive of the 4th Armored Division, led by General Patton against the 1st SS Panzer Division, is the first step into sending the Germans in a retreat. The Germans are struggling with fuel shortages, which is bad news for Hitler's large-scale armored attack in the Ardennes forest. Soon, the Germans will run out of fuel and will have to leave their tanks where they lie. Once this happens, the 1st SS Panzer Division, led by Joachim Peiper, will have to retreat on foot.
Thank you, Colonel. Now a quick segue to what is happening around the Eastern Front. Currently, the Americans are almost finished pushing through Italy, while Russia is moving very quickly through Eastern Europe. Now, let's circle back to our field reporter, Cooper Smith.
After reporting from the 4th Armored Division, I am now here with General Hodges with the 1st Army.
Sadly, we have lost our field reporter. Thank you, Cooper, for your dedication to the United States. Now, January 25th, 1945. The Battle of the Bulge had now concluded. The Allied powers have successfully stopped the Axis powers, but the casualties were not as bad for us as they were for the Germans. Soldiers fought in brutal winter conditions, and the U.S. Army lost approximately 19,000 men and suffered some 75,000 casualties in what became the United States' deadliest single World War II battle. The shortage of fuel and bad weather had disrupted the German supply lines, causing the surrender of Germany 4 months later.
The Battle of the Bulge was a last-ditch attempt by Hitler to regain control over the war, but ultimately it failed. This loss was devastating to the German military, losing 100,000 troops, and signified the beginning of the end for the Nazi regime.
Thank you to everyone for tuning in to listen. Now we would like to give 10 seconds of silence for our field reporter Cooper, who sadly passed away. The Battle of the Bulge, also known as the Ardennes Offensive, was Germany's last major offensive on the Western Front during World War II, launched in December 1944. It aimed to split the Allied lines and recapture the crucial port of Antwerp. The surprise attack initially caught the Allies off guard, pushing them back significantly. The battle was characterized by brutal winter conditions, fierce fighting, and heavy casualties on both sides. The Allies, initially reeling from the German advance, eventually regrouped and repelled the offense. The fighting was particularly intense around Bastogne, a strategically important town that held out against a determined German siege. The Battle of the Bulge marked a turning point in the war in Europe. While costly for both sides, the German defeat significantly weakened their ability to continue the fight. It paved the way for the Allied advance into Germany and the eventual end of the war in Europe. The battle remains a testament to the courage and resilience of the soldiers who fought in it.